Hi guys, so I'm Hannah Marie and I'm here on the Heart Centered Visionaries YouTube channel. And today I'm super excited because I've got the lovely Ginny Marsh. And Ginny Marsh is a portrait photographer and body confidence coach, and she's based in the beautiful Surrey. I love that part of the UK, it's so beautiful. And really, she works with women to help them feel inspired, motivated, and like a true goddess, which I absolutely love that word, very connected to that. And she has been involved in the photography industry for over 10 years. And she knows how to create beautiful and memorable photo shoots that really capture women's inner beauty, as well as encouraging them on the outside. So welcome, Ginny. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so excited to dive into kind of like body confidence and self-esteem because I think it's a big topic that so many women like
Mm,
struggle with, right?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've been one of them, which is why I do it.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear because I know that, you know, from reading and connecting with you that that was where your journey began, which is often the way we kind of teach what we've struggled with. So I'd love to hear your like how did your journey of like learning to love yourself and, sort of your journey with body confidence, where did it all begin?
Well, I mean, I could say it all began in childhood because that is where many people's journeys begin, I suppose.
Mm.
But and it did, from very young age. I mean, one of my first memories was, being age 6, going to my gymnastic class and being called a fat cow by a girl in who was much older than me, actually. And things like that really kind of stick when you're very, very young.
Mm.
um, and you just your mind basically believes everything that it's told from a very, very young age. So that was one of the start, in thinking that I was fat when I really wasn't. I mean, kids have puppy fat, but so yeah, I kind of battled with my weight for years, but it all really came down to like really low self-esteem, really. So I had really low self-esteem growing up. I believed that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy enough, that all the other kids were better than me somehow.
Mm.
And I just, and all the, growing up, I was a fast, well, I suppose an early developer. So I was always taller and a bit bigger than my friends growing up. And so I saw them as skinny and I wasn't as skinny, and things like that kind of really kind of play on your mind. So I just assumed I was fat growing up, basically. So that was just one of the things. And battling with my weight over the years, up and down. But it was really, I think, I kind of changed my whole business and how I do things, and my own self-love journey really came to its, I guess, peak at, it just at the beginning of 2018, actually, or the end of 2017. Which is when I moved my whole business into this lovely studio behind me. So a lot was going on at that time. I was moving, my parents were getting divorced as well.
Wow.
I was mainly a wedding photographer at that point. That was my main business. I was also doing boudoir and portraits, commercial
Mm.
stuff. I was basically doing everything. And I was working 7 days a week, 60-hour weeks, and I had no social life whatsoever. I really didn't have any hobbies left. I didn't really know myself at all at that point. I was married to my business. I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't giving any time to myself, and I reached burnout.
Wow. That,
um,
that's
and I didn't realize what it was at the time. I got severe exhaustion for about 4 or 5 months at least.
mm.
um, and I went to the doctor a few times, got a few different blood tests. They all came back fine. The doctor was just like, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm just like, I know there's something wrong with me. um,
That's a big thing, isn't it? Because often that's what I find with women is we're so, especially heart-centered women, we can be so ambitious and we keep going and going on the treadmill. And I think that's kind of what we've been taught to do, really, is like that masculine way of pushing and forcing things.
yeah,
And it's tricky. It's really tricky because we
yeah,
need to give to our own. you know, our own self. So how did that, was there like a switch that you noticed, like, I've got to change something?
Do you know what? The switch was pretty much like I had 2 weeks free in my diary where I was just like, I need a holiday. I have to go on holiday. This was the end of 2017,
Mm.
just before I reached burnout, actually. But it was the perfect time, actually. I managed to find a holiday in Bali, a yoga retreat. I
Wow.
went on. I never even like thought that I could possibly afford a holiday in Bali either, but somehow the universe worked its magic and I ended up in Bali. And this was even the time when I think there was a volcano that was just about to erupt in Bali, and it was on
Oh,
the
wow.
news, and my family were just like, are you insane? What are you doing going there?
Oh,
And I just, for some reason, it's like the only time, like one of the only times I've ever had that gut feeling of this is the right thing to do right now.
mm.
And I just knew that that was the place I had to go. Um,
Wow,
and so, yeah, that was, I guess, I would call that an enlightening moment, I suppose.
that's
And I
important though,
learned,
that gut,
yeah,
sorry, that gut impulse is so important, isn't it? And
definitely.
so often we don't listen to it as
I
women.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I'd used my mind, I'd be like, well, firstly, I really don't think I can afford it. Secondly, there's a volcano that's about to erupt.
Mm,
Thirdly, I'm going on my own. Like, there's loads of reasons why I shouldn't have gone. But I
mm,
just had to trust that gut instinct. And I was just like, no, I know that it's the right thing to do at the moment. And I learned so much from that trip, even things like customer service, where they would put a little like motivational quote on my pillow every night,
wow.
and things like that, where I was just like, this is amazing. you know I
Wow.
learned so much about myself and my business,
Mm,
and where I wanted to take it, that
mm,
that really changed from that moment. And all about self-love and even journaling. And it wasn't just a yoga retreat, we did loads of like personal development work, and yeah, it was amazing.
mm.
So I came back to a completely full diary again. So I basically got stuck into work, didn't really have time to process what I'd learned, and that's when I reached burnout, just after Christmas. So yeah, beginning of 2018.
Mm,
And so I had to sort of power. I was literally like running on adrenaline at that point, I think. I
mm.
was still doing a few photo shoots, but luckily wedding season isn't, it finished at the end of sort of Christmas time. And so I had, at least some time where I was just doing boudoir shoots at that time. Uh,
Wow, that's a journey. I think that's until we kind of reach that burnout, because I've had that before of juggling different things. You don't realize you're in it, and when you step away from that, it's easier to see it. But it sounds like Bali is such a beautiful place. It helped that maybe helped reset you in some way,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
come
and
back to.
it's only when this severe exhaustion that I originally thought was the flu, but it just got worse and lasted longer. There were times when there'd be like, I think the longest stretch was about 6 weeks, where I was just severe exhaustion every single day. And there was one point when I remember finishing a photo shoot, and I was literally like, high on adrenaline. Like, I love doing the photo shoots. That seemed to give me the energy back.
Mm,
And when I'd finish, I would just collapse. And even like being able to eat lunch, I wouldn't even be able to lift my fork. It was that bad.
wow.
Um, so it was kind of that time when I thought, maybe my body's trying to tell me something. And then I
Mhm,
realized how strong and how powerful the body mind connection is.
mm,
And I just knew that even though there wasn't anything physically wrong with me, it was a lot in my mind. And
mm,
it was sort of some mental exhaustion. It was everything, and it was accumulating into my body as it was sort of manifesting in the physical, um, thing. So yeah, that's when I basically Googled a lot about self-love, how to care for yourself, because I thought, right, now's the time I need to actually properly look after myself and give myself time off from my business. and I'm just going to have to suffer the consequences of loss in finance, and stuff in the meantime, and just focus on myself. And that was my goal, really. But it was
Beautiful.
totally worth it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you listened to that. And it's I love what you're saying about the body mind connection, because it's like that illness or that body pain is trying to tell us something, and it's like something's out of alignment that we just need to rejig. So yeah, going into it, because obviously, like, photography, being a photographer for women, it must be like a really empowering thing. Like at one point when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a model, and I was started to have all these photo shoots because I thought it helped me kind of build confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that it's an empowering thing. So how do the two like work together? Because I imagine that women probably have like a lot of self-esteem issues of being in front of a camera. Like how do you help them with that?
So I find, and before I became a body confidence coach, I was finding like a lot of my clients were coming to me, with body confidence issues. Like they wanted to book a photo shoot to empower them to feel more confident, to feel good in their own skin and things, and make them feel good about themselves. But I found my clients came to me with, I guess, that they were either not confident in front of the camera, um, and they were so shy, and I would bring that out of them, and then they'd see their photos afterwards and they'd be like, oh my god, like how amazing, I didn't even know I could look like that.
Yeah.
And they'd just be absolutely overjoyed. And then there would be the clients who came to me who were confident in front of the camera, and they'd be like, yeah, it's fine, I can do this. But deep down they had such low self-esteem that they still couldn't like look at themselves properly in photos. And it wouldn't matter how good the photos are, they would still pick up on the little flaws, or they just wouldn't be able to see the beauty that I saw in them.
Mm.
um,
It's
and
really like, I think as women, we're so self-critical, aren't we? And we see our own insecurities. It's like there's like a block that we sometimes can't see what somebody else perceives of us. Um,
definitely,
but it's really beautiful what you're saying about that inner beauty, because I think we don't see it, and we need somebody else to reflect that back at us.
yeah. I mean,
And
there's the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. Quite often we perceive that, it's always better over there, or I will be happy when I, you know, lose weight or feel this way, or, do this thing or get this thing. And actually, it all comes from within.
mm, mm. Yeah, I really agree with that. I totally feel. I mean, I've suffered with self-esteem for a long time as well, and what you were saying about at school. I mean, children could be cruel, like you saying about what you were called, and it's really horrible. And I think
Yeah.
that sticks with you. It's ingrained in your brain. And I remember somebody saying, like, calling me that I had chicken legs, and that completely stuck with me. So it is quite a damaging thing. Like words are very
Yeah.
powerful. We need to kind of reframe that as we get older, and not let it hold us back.
Yeah, but it's also important to remember, why other people act in certain ways as well, or not just remember, but learn why other people act in certain ways. Because, I mean, yes, kids can be cruel, but also you can perceive kids as being cruel when actually they're also suffering with something, and they're not realizing how they're, coming across towards you. So, for instance, I can remember, because I had such low self esteem at school, I was very shy. And quite a lot of the time I just wouldn't talk to people. And I can remember in college that one of my best friends said to me, oh, so and so thinks that you're really rude. And I was like, oh my god, why would they think that? And I
Mm,
realized, and she said, well, it's because you don't talk to them. So they think that you must be, full of yourself or stuck up, or, I was just like,
mm,
oh my gosh, that's completely the opposite. Like, I just
mm,
don't have the confidence to speak to them. And then I realized that kind of made me think, oh my God, like other people, perceive me in a way that's not actually who I am because of my insecurities.
Mm,
So
that's a good
actually
point.
it goes both ways.
Mm. Yeah, because if you're insecure, you're projecting that out and you might not even realize it,
Yeah.
especially if we're younger as women.
Mm,
And I just want to kind of go back to that because you're talking about like inner beauty and like I think there's so many different to me, I think beauty is so unique. Like we're all unique. And you're saying about the grass is greener, like we're
mm.
all different. We've got to embrace our, the things that make us who we are. So like what is your I'd love to hear like what's your definition of beauty?
To me, beauty is about being confident in your own skin, being comfortable with who you are, accepting who you are, you know, flaws and all, basically, because, we all have things that we like about ourselves and don't like about ourselves. And it's about, everybody has that.
Mm,
And it's about accepting yourself as you are, in sort of feeling just beautiful. I mean, everybody is beautiful as they are, because what is beauty? It's not just your physical appearance, it's also your soul,
mm,
and your personality, and how you feel about yourself as well, I think.
That's a beautiful. I love that. I really relate to that. It's true because I think acceptance is a key word, isn't it? Because we can always say we want to change this or plastic surgery, but at the end of the day, you're still who you are. And I
Yeah,
think it's that essence and energy people give out. It really
definitely.
that's what attracts you to those people is their energy and their vibe. Which is totally true. I mean, when I was younger, I had so many insecurities. I remember actually, because I've got like a lot of moles on my arm and just being really self-conscious of that at school. Like when I had to, PE, get your arms out, and I felt really conscious of it. Now I just think, well, they're just marks on my skin. Like
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. It's how you perceive
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
So,
I so wish that children were taught this at school more,
mm,
about, how to see the beauty in themselves, and actually that we're all uniquely different, and that's okay. That,
yeah.
growing up, we always compare ourselves to our friends.
Mm,
We always try to be like other people because we don't really know ourselves properly. And if we could learn that from a very young age, that it's
mm.
safe and okay to be who you are and to learn who you are properly, then I think that would solve a lot of insecurities in people.
Definitely. I really love that. It's almost like you say accepting your flaws. It's like learning to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any kind of tips of how to be vulnerable and how to actually accept those things that you might not like about yourself?
Just self-awareness, just to get to know yourself really well and embrace everything that you are. Like, with low self-esteem and low confidence, self-esteem and confidence are two different things. Like, confidence is how you portray yourself and how you act, and it's a learned thing, confidence. So, being really confident, you can be confident in one thing but not another.
Mm,
So you can be confident in, doing something like an activity, but not confident in your appearance, for instance. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself on the inside. It's like, it's with your self-worth. It's how worthy you feel, and how, I guess, accepting of yourself that you are. So, um, when it comes to things like self-esteem, it's good to really start to recognize the things that you do like about yourself, the things that, just recognize everything about your personality, and really coming to be aware of who you are as a person, and what your personality is like, what your character's like, who you are underneath it all. Um,
mm,
Not just who you want to be, but, who you are deep down, and who you want to be as well, because that can be changed as well. Um,
mm,
and also things like recognizing your achievements, and starting to feel proud of yourself for, even just what you've achieved on a daily basis. But also it's good to first write down, your achievements in life, You know, even things from like learning to drive a car to passing exams to winning awards to even small things like, you know, being able to buy your first car or being able to buy a house or, you know, anything like that. I mean, that's a big thing. But even having children, you know, there's so many different achievements that you can come up with. um, and so start to become proud of who you are and starting to kind of like write it all down so that you can, you know, see it every day.
I
And
love
just
that. It's a
that.
great exercise. I often give that to my clients. It's like, okay, write down what you've achieved. And like you say, it could be little things, you know, that you did a video online or you shared a piece of your art. Because I find this as well with like creative women, there seems to be issues with self-confidence and expressing themselves, but that comes from that piece of self-esteem you're talking about. And it is an inside job. You can't just, I feel like you can't think your way into things. You can to a certain degree, but I think there's a feeling that comes with, like I talk about embodying something, you really need to feel it, then you can think it, because
Exactly.
otherwise it's out of sync, you know, like that mind
Yeah,
body.
yeah, they're very closely linked.
Yeah.
But you know, in terms of feelings, like how you want to feel, like what could you do to create the feelings that you want every single day? So if you want to feel more beautiful, what makes you feel beautiful? Do you feel more beautiful doing your hair and makeup or wearing flattering clothes or in, you know, wearing the right colors? Or maybe, you know, you feel more beautiful just going out and appreciating nature, or, you know, there's so many different things that could help you to feel more beautiful. Maybe it's even wearing good underwear, nobody else have to see it.
That's a
Or
great
even just
tip.
like a spritz of the best perfume that you love the smell of.
Mm.
Things like that, you know. And what makes you feel confident, again, like maybe it's listening to like a really good tune, or, you know, doing a good power pose, for instance. So I guess it's good to figure out how you want to feel, and then you can work out what actually creates those feelings on a daily basis and just do more of them,
I
basically.
love that. That's a great way to start, because I think we think, oh, we need to be confident, but it's not a thing that happens overnight. We
No,
have to grow it, doesn't it? It's like a muscle that you
it
build
is.
over time. And it
Totally.
really isn't always easy, but if you do those small things, I found like dancing, I know we spoke about this before, like dance has really helped me feel more confident. You know, if I'm going to do a video on something, and I used to be terrified of doing videos on Facebook or anything like this, I would dance and kind of get in that state and then feel really good about myself and just go for the video.
Mm,
And it does help. So it's doing those things that make you feel good and connected to that inner part of you, I think,
definitely.
which is really key.
Yeah.
So like I know you must have had, right, with women, I mean, men have insecurities, I know, but we're talking more about women here. You must have heard it all, like all the challenges that women come to you with, because I've heard it so much as well, like just with creativity and women's confidence, like I'm not good enough, like worried about judgment, rejection, all these things. There's so much that clouds our mind. What do you think are the biggest challenges that women face about trying to kind of learn to love themselves and feel, you know, feel confident in their own skin?
There are so many. I think it really does all boil down to like the real core deep issues, like I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'm not whatever enough, um, or, you know, I'm not worthy, I don't feel worthy, or I don't feel like I deserve things. um, you know, it all comes down to those like real core issues, really, when we really dig down, because, you know, people come to me with, you know, I suppose surface issues like, you know, I want to feel good about myself to improve my relationship, for instance. But actually, when we really dig down, it all comes down to those real deep core issues, that we need to work on.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the main thing, I think. And it, you know, there are different fears as well. Like, you know, I had fear of rejection that was one of my main fears. Some
Mm.
people have, you know, fear of depression or fear of loneliness. So, you know, there are lots of different fears that people have as well that they can work on.
So many of them, isn't it? I think it's just having that self-awareness that you recognize that's your fear, because then when it comes up, you can notice that. I actually think a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people like to admit this, but I've noticed that people are actually more scared of the fear of success. Well,
Mhm.
definitely that was one of my things.
Yeah, that was one of mine as well, actually.
Right, yeah, like the fear of success of like, if I'm successful, I'll be more responsible, like I'll be in the limelight, which I've always like not wanted to be in. So it's
Yeah,
kind of that, oh, there's responsibility, and then I'll be seen for what I do, and then I'll be visible, and then what? And your mind just goes off on a tangent. So you just have to catch it, I think, and it's having those practices that really help with that.
exactly.
So do you have like, or you shared a lot of tips, do you have any, any other practical things that you can that people can do, if they've got that real fear that keeps surfacing, or that kind of voice of self-doubt, what can they do to kind of just be more aware of it, and talk to it with more compassion?
Well, that is one of the keys, just becoming aware as well. And, you know, you can ask yourself questions like, you know, is this fear actually real? Simple question, but actually when you really think about it, well, no, you've got no actual evidence to say that it's like going to happen. So when you kind of like question it and think, oh, actually, okay, so it's not necessarily going to happen. So what would you rather? Would you rather believe that it will happen, or would you rather believe that something good is going to happen instead? Because either of them are, you know, 50%, you know, going to happen, or you know, more than that if you have different examples. But yeah, just questioning it is the first step, I would say.
Mm, good
I mean,
one.
I would say, you know, fear is not my speciality yet, but that's definitely one of the things that I would suggest to start with.
That's a great one. And it's also, you said that 50%, it's like, what do you focus your energy on? Because that is what is going to build
Yeah.
momentum. So we've got to be really aware of that. But it's
Well,
also, I think people beat themselves up when they get into the negative spiral, of you feel really, you start doubting yourself one day. I've definitely had that a lot. And then it ripples, it's a spiral effect, and it gets worse and worse. And sometimes that is just like, sometimes you just have one of those days, and I think we are really hard on ourselves when we have one of those days and things don't get done, or we don't do something because we think it's going to go wrong or whatever it is. But sometimes it's okay to have those days, but just notice when we're getting to the self-sabotage of, okay, this is going on for weeks now, like, how do I just be aware of this, as you said, and let, and
mm,
sort of change how I see this
yeah,
thing, or this voice of self-doubt.
definitely. I think meditation always helps as well. For me personally, I mean, meditation has been something that I'm still getting better at, to be fair. I mean, I think it's a constant, you know, journey, meditation.
Mm.
But yeah, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And the more I have done it, the more I have connected with my body instead of my head.
Mm.
Because I think people can get so, I guess, caught up within their own mind that their mind completely takes over, and they lose the ability to think properly.
Yeah.
So when you actually are able to connect with your body and actually think with your heart, because you can actually think with your heart as well as your brain,
Mm.
um, then that makes things so much easier. I mean, that's like one of the things that helped me get over my fear of being in front of the camera as well, and and being recorded like this, there was literally, even only a few years ago, I would be like a rabbit in headlights. I would forget my own name even. It was that bad, because I got so caught up in my head of thinking, oh my God, well, how am I coming across? What am I looking like? How am I acting? What are people going to think of me? I'm being judged. Oh my goodness. All those things were going through my mind. But when you actually connect with your heart and think, how can I serve people and how can I help people? And it doesn't matter how I'm coming across as long as I can help.
Yeah, I feel you. That's a beautiful way of reframing it, of like, how can I serve? Because I think we're so conscious of how we're going to come across that we then get in our head, as you said, and we're not really being our authentic selves. And that's why I found, I completely get you the deer in headlights. Like, I remember had a mentor back in London. She was like, right, let's do a Facebook Live. And she literally put the camera on me and I was terrified. And she was in it as well and talking to me. And I just looked so awkward. And I look back to these videos from like 4 years ago and I think, oh my gosh, like there's such a shift. I was just like low in my energy and everything because I was just in my head. So it does get easier the more we do it. And the more you focus it off on from you, how can you serve? I really love that reframe. That's a really important thing to think about. And women find this in business, like creative people find it's hard to get on camera. I completely get it.
Definitely.
Just taking those baby steps, even if it's like a 1-minute video you do, just showing up and in your video in your feet or something. I always find you're talking but you're not in it. Just things like that always help to get there.
Definitely.
So, Ginny, I love like you shared so much wisdom, and I love hearing about your story. Like how, so obviously you do photography and the body confidence. So how can women work with you? What can they do to get?
I have got a Facebook page and an Instagram page for both. So there's Gorgeous You Photography and there's Gorgeous You Coaching. Gorgeous You Coaching is just at Gorgeous You Coaching on both Facebook and Instagram. Nice and easy. Photography is slightly different because I've changed the name of my business over the years. So it was Ginny Marsh Photography. So I'm still Ginny Marsh Photography on Instagram. But on Facebook, I'm now Gorgeous You Photography by Ginny Marsh.
I'll put all the links in the description.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the pages. I've also got a guide, 12-page guide on how to boost your self-esteem for anybody who would like it. Anyone who's suffering with low self-esteem, these are things that have helped me and things that I've learned through my coaching training as well. And stuff that always helps my clients. So I've put it into a 12-page guide with also some useful tips on, where low self-esteem comes from and what causes it and what problems it creates as well, just to get some more understanding around it.
Beautiful. That sounds amazing. I'm sure many people would love this, so we can post that for people. And do you have any like offerings at the moment or anything that's coming up or events you want to share?
Not at the moment. But keep watching the pages and you will see anything that comes up. But yeah, definitely the low self-esteem guide is helping a lot of people at the moment. So
that's amazing. I love the name Gorgeous You. It says it all. And before we wrap up, I'd love to just hear, like, are there any kind of last words of wisdom that you want to share with women?
Oh my goodness, I've got so much more that I could share. Seriously. But I'd say gratitude. Gratitude works wonders. Either having a daily gratitude journal that you write in at the end of every day, just stuff that you're grateful for in the day, either grateful for seeing, grateful for hearing, grateful for just like everything from even the sun coming out, like to good connections that you've had in the day, to things that you've achieved, grateful for achieving that day. I find that really useful, and I do that myself every single night. So yeah, gratitude just can help you with general happiness as well as feeling good about yourself, grateful for, you know, things about your body that you do actually appreciate, and just start to connect with yourself that way. And that's my best tip for anybody.
Beautiful. I love that. Love
Oh, and
that.
I should also say about my Facebook group,
Yes, go on.
because I've got a Facebook group for women called Gorgeous You, the confidence to be unapologetically you. So it's all about just being yourself, being happy in your own skin, and how to feel more confident and feel good about yourself, really. So that's on Facebook, and I'm sure we can put the link to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Be unapologetically you. That is just says it all, doesn't it? Because sometimes we, oh no, like I notice when people give you a compliment about something, you're like, oh no, but I bought that. If it's a piece of clothing, oh, I bought that years ago in a charity shop. It's like, okay, we need to just learn to receive
Yeah,
these compliments
learn
and
to accept
proud
compliments.
of that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. And lastly, because I'm all about vision and I love hearing people's vision and like mission, what is your vision for like women and helping them, like your
Oh
big
my
vision?
goodness. I've got some big visions. One thing that I would absolutely love to do in the future is to put on a retreat for women,
Mm,
somewhere really lovely that they can just go away for a week, have a little holiday, meet like-minded women, and just learn how to connect with themselves, their bodies, have a sort of a transformation through the week, really, and end up with a photo shoot in the end. Whether they want to have a boudoir shoot or a simple portrait shoot, it's totally up to them, I think. But I guess in my mind, it's sort of like a Gokwan, how to look good naked type thing.
love that. That sounds amazing.
But
I'm
in my own way, and there would be sort of a spiritual side to it as well, and sort of morning yoga and just journaling and things like that. So yeah, that's what I will be doing at some point.
wow, beautiful. Well, stay connected with Ginny because that sounds beautiful. I want to know about it. So amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and all your and sharing your story. It's been a joy to hear about it all.
Thank
And
you, Anna.
I hope that I'm sure women have got a lot of wisdom from you and lots of practical tips they can implement straight away. So
Yeah,
if anyone watches this, please like comment. You can ask us questions below the video. We'd love to hear from you. So
I've got so much more where this came from. So yeah,
I love Ginny's passion. She's passionate, very passionate about this. So I love it. But thank you so much, Ginny. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed this chat with us. All right, ladies, bye.
bye.